What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Take Podcast. I am your host, Jackson Burleson. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking all things related to NBA in today's episode. But before we get into this episode, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and comment and share with everybody you may know. And also, the Spotify version will be available. So make sure to click the link in the description for that. And then go and check out the take.sport.blog. That's where I write all my sports articles. So make sure to go in the description and check those out as well. And then follow my social medias. I'm going to pop them up on the screen. So make sure to go and follow those. Those will be in the description as well. But let's go ahead and get into today's pod. So we're going to start out with my take of the day. Now, my take of the day is that Luka Doncic is the MVP at this moment in time. We're in December, getting close to Christmas time here, where games start to really matter, in my opinion. Luka is averaging 33 points a game on a Mavericks team that is 8th in the Western Conference. And, not the best record. 14-13, but what do you expect for him to do? Like, Luka Doncic literally has no pieces around him. The second best player on the team is Spencer Dinwiddie, and he's averaging 16 points. No superstars around him at all. So what do you really expect for Luka Doncic to do with this team? Because he can't win a championship with this team. He's got to do everything, which he is doing. He's one of 3 players on this Mavericks team averaging double figures, which is sad, to be honest. And looking at this Mavericks team, they really are missing Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson should have not went to the Knicks. The Mavericks should have kept him, paid him. Maybe not what the Knicks gave him, but they should have kept him. Jalen Brunson was such a good complementary piece right alongside Luka. So I thought keeping him would have been very important. But the Mavericks, they have a chance. Not to win a championship, obviously, but they have a chance to at least make it to the second round of the playoffs with Luka Doncic. Because Luka Doncic is a special player. He's so good at attacking the angle. He's an amazing passer. I saw a pass where he went up for a layup, and then he kind of just kicked it to the side, just casually, like he was shooting it. That's unbelievable. His vision is insane, and he's a 6'7" point guard who can post up all the smaller guys, do those turnaround fadeaways. This guy is truly, truly special, and he's going to be one of the best players in the league for years to come, and I think he will be the best player in the league in about 2 years. He's right there with Giannis and all those guys. But there's also another guy that is playing amazing basketball at the moment, and that's Jason Tatum. He's also another MVP candidate for me as well. I think it's going to come down to Tatum and Luka. Luka does have the edge over him right now just because he has to do so much more for his team, but Tatum's averaging 30. He's showing the physicality that I finally wanted him to bring, and he's doing it. He's driving to the basket. He's not just settling for those step back threes, those turnaround J's. Jason Tatum has gotten stronger. You can really tell that over this offseason, he's really put in the work in the weight room. And I'm really, really impressed with Jason Tatum and what the Celtics team has been able to do, because Jason Tatum's not the only guy on the Celtics team balling out. And Jaylen Brown has been sensational. This guy is averaging 27 points per game, and him and Tatum finally figured out how to play well together. I was a little worried at the beginning of last season, I don't know if these guys are going to be able to play well together. Their games are a little too similar. They're both ball dominant, but they figured it out. They've really figured it out, and they have such a great team around those two. They got Malcolm Brogdon coming off the bench. You got Marcus Smart. You got Grant Williams, Robert Williams, Al Horford. There's so many pieces on this Celtics team to do a lot of damage. And I think the Celtics are going to win the championship, guys. I really, really do. They have the deepest bench in the league. They're long. They're great defensively. And they're very well coached. This interim head coach for Ime Udoka, he has stepped in and done a fantastic job coaching this basketball team. They're playing really simple basketball, making the right pass, making the right plays, not doing anything fancy, playing defense. I love the way the Celtics team's playing. Even though they lost to the Warriors this past weekend, don't get discouraged about that. If you're a Celtics fan, don't get discouraged, because you guys are 21-7. You guys are fine. Don't worry about that at all. Just don't. Because you guys kick the Suns' butt. The Suns are terrible, by the way. I do not like them. Like Devin Booker, fantastic player. I love what he can do. He's super skilled, but I just don't see them going anywhere. I mean, the Suns are always going to be the Suns. That's my personal opinion. Chris Paul, I don't really like Chris Paul. To be honest, I never really have liked Chris Paul. He's just always been super, super, super close to winning a championship. He's been this close multiple times, and he just can't get it done. Like that's like one thing I don't really like about Chris Paul, and he's always injured, man. This guy is always in dress clothes, always in dress clothes. And I just don't have faith in the Suns. I mean, they got blasted by the Celtics by like 40 points, and then they lose to the Pelicans in overtime, which that's an impressive win. I mean, the Pelicans are a good team, you guys. Finally, the Pelicans have figured it out. After all these years with like teams with Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Zion, all those teams that should have won games and should have been at least top 5 seeds in the West. Now the Pelicans are number 1 in the Western Conference. They're the best team. They're 18-8. You got Zion balling out. He's averaging 25. He's been an absolute freak of nature. I mean, this guy can literally drive the basket and no one is stopping him. Like if I'm guarding this guy, I'm just getting out of the way because this guy is a giant boulder flying at you like a freight train. I mean, Zion is a special talent, especially driving to the basket because he's just so physical. And then CJ McCollum, he has been a great addition to this team. He is fitting in so well with them. He's averaging 17 points per game, playing point guard duties, doing his thing. And then Brandon Ingram is the next coming of Kevin Durant. I'm just going to say that right now. He's averaging 20 points per game. That's a big 3 that can win a title. And to be honest, I know the Warriors, I think they're the team to beat still, even though they're not really playing the best basketball at the moment. But they're going to get it turned around. But the Western Conference is pretty open right now. Like there's only one team to beat, and that's Golden State because they're defending champs. I mean, Golden State, they're going to get it turned around. I believe that win against the Celtics will get them there. But I mean, they played really well. I mean, they were shooting the basketball very well. They were sharing it. I mean, this team has just such good chemistry. They have such a good mixture of young and veteran players like Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. You got Wiggins, you got Steph Curry, and Steph Curry is automatic from 3. I mean, this guy could literally close his eyes and still drill 3-point shots. I mean, that's how good. He's the greatest shooter of all time. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry is the greatest shooting backcourt to ever live. Not even close. And I don't like the Warriors, but like I do like the Warriors now because before they had Kevin Durant, I hated them. Hated them. And now they're balling out without Kevin Durant. They weren't the best team in the regular season last year, and they're still getting it done. They're still going to at least be in the Western Conference Finals at bare minimum. I mean, I think this year it'll be Celtics Warriors in the NBA Finals. I think the Celtics will win in 7 games. That's Jason Tatum's brilliance is going to really show in this series. I mean, it's really going to show because Jason Tatum will be the best player in that series. Not even close. He will be the best player in that series against the Warriors when they rematch in the NBA Finals. Now, for the Warriors, they don't have as good of a bench as Boston may have, but they do have I mean, I don't know why. Like the Celtics seem to always struggle with the Warriors. They can't seem to beat them, and that's going to be the test here going forward. But the Western Conference is very interesting. The Grizzlies are sitting at the 2nd seed right now, and Ja Morant, this guy is an acrobatic genius. Like this guy is doing like crazy layups. Like he's coming around like this. He's like doing all this. Like what's going on here? Like what planet are you on, bro? Like what planet are you on? Like seriously, I like Ja Morant. Like every time I watch Ja Morant, he just does something I've never seen before. He's 6'1", and he has a 47-inch vert. Like for a guy his size, he should not be doing the things he's doing. Like he is a Russell Westbrook that can shoot. That's how you describe Ja Morant's game. And he is amazing defensively. Like he's so good at recovering. Like he'll literally, like I saw a block this year. He literally pinned it to the backboard, but his head, he had to duck midair from the backboard because that's how high he was. Like, are you actually out of your mind? And then the layup against the Pistons, that was different, bro. I'm going to put that on the screen. Like, you guys got to see it. That was nuts. Like, the way he just, ooh, man, like, you can just see Jaden Ivey shaking his head. Like, dang, bro, what are you on? Like, what are you on? Like, just an absolute fantastic acrobatic move. Probably the play of the year. I mean, he just kind of, he literally cups the ball and then he comes under. Like, wow, dude. Like, that's absolutely unreal. And they're having guys step up this year. I mean, they're getting better. Desmond Bane is averaging 24 a game. Like, wow. Like, that's incredible. And then you got guys like Jaren Jackson, who is a defensive stud. Grizzlies are in for the long haul this year. They're going to be a huge problem for a lot of teams. And that's not saying a whole lot for the Grizzlies because they were a problem last year, but they just need to be able to stay healthy when the playoffs come around. If they can stay healthy when the playoffs come around, sky's the limit for this Grizzlies team. Let's be honest here. But I mean, we got to look at some other teams though. There's a couple sleeper teams in my opinion. One of them is Cleveland Cavaliers. This team can make the conference finals. Donovan Mitchell's playing an elite level. He's averaging 29 a game. Darius Garland is the next version of Kyrie Irving, and he's averaging 21. Then you got Jared Allen, who's a defensive beast, and he's averaging 14 and 10. And then Evan Mobley's balling out with 15 and 9 in his second year. I mean, come on. The Cavs are so long, very good defensively, and they're a young team. But they also have some veterans like Kevin Love, who, by the way, I can't believe Kevin Love is still a Cavalier. Like, after all these years with LeBron and Kyrie leaving, everyone's forgot about Kevin Love, and he's just kind of there mentoring these guys, which is a really cool thing to see from him. Because Kevin Love, you know, when LeBron came in, he kind of really did take a huge backseat in those years in Cleveland. He wasn't the same Kevin Love when he was in Minnesota. But to see him kind of accept his role off the bench and to be that veteran player, it's pretty awesome to watch. I mean, you don't really see a lot of guys with his ego, with his skill level, kind of do what he does. And I really applaud Kevin Love for doing that because it's really helping this Cavaliers team. I mean, they're third in the Eastern Conference. They're 17 and 11, and they're playing elite basketball. Like, I just love it. Donovan Mitchell is bringing a different swag to this team. He's giving them a sense of hope that they can actually win a championship, which is exactly what they needed because Donovan Mitchell has playoff experience and he can lead these young guys to the playoffs. Like, it's gonna, like, he can lead them to the conference finals. Very much so. I mean, this guy is very, very experienced in the arena. And you need experience to be able to help these young guys like Darius Garland and Evan Mobley because they don't have any playoff experience really at all. I mean, playing, you know, it counts a little bit, but I don't really count that as real playoff basketball. I mean, in my opinion, I think the play-in's a joke. Like, I don't even know why they have it. Just have the 8th seed. If you can't get it done in the regular season, you shouldn't be able to play your way in. You should not be able to play your way in. You need to be playing your way in during the regular season. That's how that should work. I hate it. Like, I don't like it. Adam Silver just adds the dumbest stuff to the NBA, and it just doesn't make it as entertaining. Like, we want a classic 1-8 matchup. Now, I get people want to see upsets, but no, man. But speaking of upset teams, now this is a team that I feel like a lot of people are forgetting about. And it's a very obvious team. Brooklyn Nets, KD and Kyrie. We know there's a lot of noise with KD and Kyrie this past offseason. We didn't know if any of them were going to be on the roster for crying out loud. And then they end up playing together this year and they're balling out. I mean, they're actually not playing bad basketball. Like they're on a 3-game winning streak. Kyrie Irving's averaging 25 a game and KD's averaging 30. But the problem is the only guy who's averaging above double figures besides those two guys is Claxton, the center. He's averaging 11 points a game. That's it. But Ben Simmons, he has been playing a little bit better, which they do need from him. They do need Ben Simmons to step up a lot. And he has been. He has been stepping up. He's been that defensive guy to go and guard the best player on offense. That's exactly what they need him to do. They need Ben Simmons to get 10 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. They need him to be passing the basketball in pick and rolls, getting teammates involved. That's what he's good for. He's not a good shooter, obviously. I mean, but the thing is, like, it looked like at the beginning of the season he lost his way, but like now he's kind of starting to figure out his way and find out what kind of player he was before. He's starting to play like that 76er Ben Simmons, which him and Embiid were beasts together when he was on the Philadelphia 76ers. But got to think about it. The guy didn't play basketball for like over a year and a half, and then he steps in and he's expected to do good things right out of the gate for this Brooklyn Nets team. I mean, you can't really expect that, and especially all the stuff that was going on mentally with him. I mean, you just got to give him a little bit more time, and he's starting to get a little warmed up. He's starting to kind of show his true colors a little bit, which is the defense. Now, in the playoffs, that's going to be very important because he's got to be able to lock up guys like Giannis and Tatum. He's going to be guarding those guys because KD is not going to be guarding Giannis or Tatum. I'm sorry. Like Ben Simmons, that's your defensive assignment. That's why you were brought to Brooklyn, was because of your defense. Literally, like he could have won Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. Like that's how good this guy can be defensively. I mean, he's a 6'10" point guard. He's got long arms. He's a mismatch all over the floor. I mean, he's a mismatch in every single position because when he has centers guarding him, he's quicker than centers and he has better ball handling. But when he's got point guards guarding him, he can just post him up because they're little babies compared to him. So the Nets, they do need to take advantage of Ben Simmons' mismatches a little bit more, I would say, in the post and down low instead of just shooting the basketball, because I haven't really been impressed with the Nets shooting. I mean, Joe Harris, he's been having an okay year, and then Seth Curry. I mean, they need some more production out of these guys. You can't just have KD and Kyrie carrying the load. That's just not going to win you guys a championship. Like, that's why you guys got swept last year, is because KD and Kyrie were literally doing everything to win, which is, I mean, sure, you want them putting up 30 points a game, but you need role players to support them in their efforts to win a championship. And that's exactly what they're doing. And the Nets, they've truly underachieved in these last couple years. And this is a make or break year for them. If they don't win a championship this year, or at least make the finals, I would say this is a disappointing year for the Brooklyn Nets. I really do believe that. But I mean, there's a lot of good teams in the Eastern Conference. I mean, 76ers, they still have a chance to be good. They got Harden. They got Harden back. Embiid is playing at an absolute insane level. This guy is the best center in the NBA. I know what you guys are going to say. Oh, Jokic is better. No. Embiid is way more dominant than Jokic. Now, I will give Jokic the passing side of things. Jokic is the best passing big man I've ever seen in my life. Not even close. But Joel Embiid is definitely the most dominant. He should have won MVP last year, by the way. I don't know why they gave it to Jokic, but that was last year. That was in the past. But you've got, the 76ers, and then you kind of below them, you just, Knicks, Hawks, Pacers, Raptors. Like, oh my God. Like, come on. Now, the Pacers have literally surprised me a little bit. I did not think they're going to be this good. Benedict Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton have been very impressive to me. Those two guys play so well alongside. But my Miami Heat, man, like, what is going on with us? Like, I really, really, really want us to start playing the way we should be. Now, I understand we don't have the star power we should have, and we lost PJ Tucker. We lost some defense. We're not big at all. We play so small ball all the time. That's honestly our big problem. If the Miami Heat had a really good center that could get us 10 rebounds a game, and he was a 7-footer, I feel like we'd be so much better. I really do believe that, because we just don't have enough. And I love Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, but we really should trade for Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards would make our team so much better. We would go up a few levels. I mean, Anthony Edwards has been shopped by the Minnesota Timberwolves this year. Offer a trade. Offer Tyler Hero. I know we just gave Tyler Hero an extension, but offer Tyler Hero up. I think the Timberwolves will gladly take that player. I think they'll gladly take him. And Anthony Edwards is an athletic freak. I mean, he literally reminds me of Dwayne Wade. We need that kind of guy in our culture, because I feel like Anthony Edwards would thrive in a Miami Heat uniform. I just do. I mean, Anthony Edwards is one of my favorite players in the NBA to watch. He's so athletic. He's very insane driving to the basket. I mean, and he can make shots when he needs to. He's not the greatest shooter ever, but he can make shots when needed. And we need a guy like that, because Jimmy Butler's our only guy that can really come up in the clutch for us. Now, I do love Bam Adebayo. He's a great player, but we just need a little more pieces. And I just don't think we're going to be competing with teams like the Celtics, like the Bucks, like the Cavs. I just don't think we're going to be able to beat those teams in a 7-game series. Last year was our chance to really make some noise. I mean, we shouldn't have been in the Eastern Conference Finals to begin with. I don't even know how we were the number 1 seed. We literally have the exact same team as last year, and we're sitting at number 10 in the Eastern Conference at 13-5, or 13-15, excuse me. Like, I don't know. I'm not really confident with our Heat team this year. I just don't see us really doing any damage. I think we're going to have a first-round exit, maybe be in the play-in, which is going to be a little bit of disappointment. But, I mean, what do you expect when you don't make any moves during the offseason? You don't go and get Donovan Mitchell. You don't go and trade for any of these guys. And I think getting Rudy Gobert would have been a really good pickup for this offseason as well, because we need a guy, 7-footer, who's a rim protector and a rebounder. That's all we really need. We might have had to give up a few draft picks for him, but so what? Like, that would take us to a championship level team with Rudy Gobert. I truly believe that. But I mean, we'll see what happens here. Now, I'm gonna touch on a couple more teams before I kind of close out this pod here. So the LA Clippers, they're 16-13. I get it. They'll turn it around. I did say at the beginning of the year the Clippers were going to win the championship. I would like to see the Clippers in the championship, but I just don't know if they will get there. I just don't think they will get there. It really depends, because around the playoffs, they're a completely different team. I feel like during the regular season, they kind of don't try that much. Kawhi is just kind of taking his rest days, playing when he wants to. Paul George, same thing. But, I mean, the Clippers are a very good basketball team still, and they still have the star power to get there. But I need to see it in the regular season. I do. And this has been a weird season for me. Like, there's just a lot of, like, interesting teams at the top. I mean, the Celtics, I knew they would be number 1, but, like, the Western Conference is just so weird. You got Pelicans at number 1, Grizzlies at number 2, and Nuggets at number 3. And by the way, the Nuggets, they can do some damage too. They got Jamal Murray back, who's a very important piece to that Nuggets team actually being able to contend in the Western Conference. I mean, the last time Jamal Murray was on the court, they made it to the Western Conference Finals and almost beat the Lakers. So, you know, we'll see what kind of happens with the Nuggets. I don't think they're talented enough to really go anywhere. But, I mean, they play such a good brand of basketball, and Jokic is literally the 7-foot point guard for that team. And I love watching Jokic play. Like, he's just such an entertaining passer, and he just knows where to put the ball. But, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this NBA season kind of unfolds. And around Christmas time, we got some Christmas Day games that are pretty big coming up. So you got to stay tuned for those. But this is going to go ahead and do it for today's episode of the Take Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure to subscribe to the channel once again, like the video, comment and share. And then the Spotify version will also be available, link in the description for that. And then follow my social medias. I'm going to pop them up the screen once again. They'll be in the description as well. And then check out the take.sport.blog. I'm going to be putting it in the description as well. So make sure to go read some of my articles and go check those out. But I'm Jackson Burleson, and this has been the Take Podcast. See you guys in the next episode.